If you really had a hard time dealing with farming on Manor Lords, then you came to the right place. Today I'm going to show you a step-by-step guide on how to be an agriculture expert in the game. I really like the farming part in Manor Lords and I've really spent most of my hours playing in the game managing the farm part of Manor Lords. Let me know down in the comment what section you like the most in the game, but before that let's dive into the guide. Let's start with the basics. Fields in Manor Lords are measured in morgens and we want to aim for fields that are around 0.3 to 1 morgens each. The reason for that is that we want to set up multiply smaller fields over one large field to maximize efficiency. I like to stick with 0.3 morgens each because I like to use the axe for plowing and it's much more efficient when the plots are smaller. Except for being faster, it allows us to use 2 or 3 families in the farmhouse instead of 6 or 7. In addition to being efficient farmers, we will place our farmhouse near the fields in order to reduce travel time for our workers. Next, we're going to choose the crops. Now, some of you will choose the highest percentage crop yield and it's normally going to be wheat, but I found that it's usually better to start with the other crops and I'll explain why. In the first tier we will have enough food because our village is still small and we don't have a lot of mouths to feed. But that's just me, because I personally prefer to not export my village goods. So if you don't know yet what you're going to do with your crops, selling or supplying your village, then the next section can be much more helpful. Due to the last patch, fertility percentages have gone up. When on rich soils it went up to 100%. So I would recommend planting at least on 40% fertility or more. If you plant on 35% and less, you'll just waste your time harvesting 7 wheat from each crop, which is, well, a waste of time. On plus, I'll add that you should rotate crops whenever possible, but it really depends on your final goal. So if you are a greedy person who aims to sell whatever you're growing, then grow whatever has the highest percentage. But if you aim to grow only one crop, then I'll suggest growing the same crop for 2 consecutive years and then keeping the third year fallow. Besides that, now, if you want to get the maximum yield, then you'll have to finish the job of plowing and sowing before winter comes. That's why I recommend earlier to use the axe, because if you want to get things done before winter without the axe, you'll have to use 6 or 8 families, which sometimes is not possible, especially in the early stages. Okay, moving on. When you decide on which crop you're going to grow, there are a few simple things you need to do if you want to maximize its efficiency. Let's say you're growing wheat. Then, you will have to build your windmill close to the farmhouse and your communal oven next to the windmill. Pay attention, don't transfer families from the farmhouse after they've done with the harvesting, as they need to process the wheat into grain. However, if you choose to grow barley, then your steps are going to be: number 1. To build a malt house in order to turn the barley into malt. Number 2. To turn one of your level 2 mortgage plots into brewery in order to turn your malt into the final product, which is ale. Now, when you have ale, you can supply your town with the ale through the tavern, which is a key part to level up your mortgage plots to level 3. Before continuing to the rest of the guide, please drop a sub and a like so I can continue making more videos like this. But now, let's talk about flax. When growing flax, our case is a lot simpler. Here we're going to build only the weaver's workshop in order to produce linen from flax, which is almost the final product before clothes. But that's where we're gonna stop in this guide because I think most of you are just here for the farming part. Lastly, let's talk about the different research nodes that I recommend you to upgrade. Number 1. The heavy plow. This trait will allow us to use the axe in order to plow the fields, and as I mentioned earlier, I really recommend it in order to use fewer families and save some time. Number 2. Rye cultivation. This trait will allow us to unlock rye that can be compared to wheat since it's processed into flour as well. You should unlock it only when the land is not so fertile when it comes to wheat, cause in that case rye is much more compatible. In number 3 it's quite complex, so I'll make it really short. Fertilization node is quite good, but only when you rely heavy, and I mean heavy, on farming. This node will allow you to breed sheep in the fields. And what it does is basically restore the fertility level to its maximum. And all of that because the sheep are cropping in our plots. And with that we're going to finish our farming guide. I didn't want to put too much detail, so I covered only the stuff that I thought was important. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to leave a sub and a like. Until next time.